Next thing is how to budget, and I know you've got some interesting suggested stories on that one.
Okay, yeah, for budgeting, I mean, what I try to do is I just try to keep. I don't have a choice, so I try to keep the budget as low as possible, and only spend money on something that will actually get results on the screen. Uh, that's very easy to say and very difficult to actually do. But yeah, I mean, any way you can save money, I try to save money. You know, maybe you do some of the same thing, but I will like use like a very cheap materials and obviously build stuff by hand. And it with special effects, especially, it doesn't matter like how you do it as long as it looks good on screen. So
Exactly.
actually, yeah, the cheaper you can do it, but still make it look high quality, the better. It's I mean, as like, we're kind of micro budget filmmakers. Your every penny counts, and the thing is, like, even small purchases, they add up really quickly. So
Oh
you
yeah,
really have to
definitely.
keep an eye on the bottom line all the time.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, it's come from experience, just doing this stuff a lot and learning and making mistakes and stuff. But for me, and I guess it'll probably be this way until if I ever was in a position where like a studio liked my stuff enough where they want to have me like direct like something a little more ambitious, for them, kind of, like some of the guys that did like the new Evil Dead. I forgot his name.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, he started out like us, but Sam Raimi saw his work and wanted to put him on something like that. So if that never happens, I'm totally fine with just doing a little bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
I
me too.
always try to base. I always kind of work backwards. I was all right. I have no budget, then I'll make the story. Because it seems like every time you try to like write something first, and you got to like try to condense it to your budget, and I feel like it never works out. Right? It always seems like something's lacking. Versus if you go in with the mindset, "Oh, I have no money. I have nothing. What can I make with nothing?" And kind of go from there. It just kind of sets you up better, from in my opinion. That's why even my everything I do, short films, everything, I always go into it to have nothing and what can I make work. But yeah, like especially with effect stuff, like I just know, this. Like you just kind of know what works with the camera. It may look
Yeah,
to the naked eye, oh, this piece of string and some foil. But no. Look, if you light it correctly and everything and frame it, it's something totally different.
yeah,
You
exactly.
could trick people like that. So, and I'm frugal anyway. I love like I've always liked building stuff, making stuff. Even as a little child, my mom used to make little foil figurines and stuff with me. That's kind of how it started. I started making stuff
Awesome.
and Legos, so I was
Me
able,
too.
yeah, what I'm saying that, but it helps, right? That kind of like
Yeah,
helps you learn how to create things out of nothing, So I can
yeah,
take foam and whatever and like make stuff out of it. And stuff. But yeah, I've saved a lot of money just on the stuff I've done now because I know how to. I don't like saying the word cut corners, but I just know how to like substitute things and not overthink them like if I didn't know have any kind of like background in it. But yeah, as far as budget goes, I mean, like I said, that's part of it. Like working with what you got, being realistic. That's another thing. You got a lot of people they want to. I've seen it so many times where people have like these short, well, not short films, like they want to do a feature film independently, but they got like 20 actors in it. I'm like, man, like I know I've and this too. Like if you shoot something with just 3 people, that still is a lot of work because
yeah,
again, I mean, people, I mean, depending on what they got to do, their scheduling, how much they're getting paid, if they're getting paid, then you talk about getting 20 people, like, I mean, and like have like 5 maybe like major leads, and then you got like 8 different locations, like, nah, I mean, people gotta understand like that stuff adds up after a while. There's a reason you need to stick to this one primary location for like your first or first 2 features and 1 or 2 actors because you can do a lot with it, and it's just even at that level, there's a lot you gotta just take in consideration, and things can add up.
yeah. I mean, I think you're totally right. Especially as far as like scheduling. So like, because I mean, what you're talking about, that's what I did on my first 2 features. At least my first feature, like there was kind of one main location and then like a few actors and there were extras and stuff. But and then the second film, sure, um, it was in China, and
it was also just a couple leads, but I did a lot more locations, which was definitely difficult. And then I was really stupid on my third one that you saw, because my third one has over 40 actors,
Right.
and scheduling them was crazy. Like there's not so many, like, obviously there's not that many leads, there's not that many main characters, but yeah, but it's still, but again, what you're saying, it's still kind of one location. We're outside a lot,
Right.
and different places, but yeah, I think, like, I mean, what you said is completely correct. I mean, and that is kind of what I do. I think about, all right, what resources do I have, and how can I best use the little that I have in a very creative way. Although I try to stretch what I can do as much as possible,
Right,
and
right.
probably way more than I should, because I feel like Bakemono has like wall-to-wall special effects, and it was tough, but
Yeah, you
you
pulled
know,
it off. Like again, like dude, like
thanks.
it's a great looking film, and the effects were really awesome in it. But now, yeah, now in Bakemono, there are quite a few actors in it, but that's your third film, so
Yeah,
it wasn't like your first thing going in. So at this point, you've had two features on your belt, so you went in knowing what you could and couldn't do. So in that kind of aspect, that's an exception to it, because again, you've done it enough now where you know how to make that work. Whereas somebody who never made a film before would try that, it probably disastrous for them because they wouldn't know.
yeah. I mean, no, you got to be really careful and keep it simple. And like my next feature, I'm not going to do the same thing. I wouldn't want to do the same thing anyway. But
Right.
yeah,
I agree with that. But let me see. Another thing was catering is a big thing. I think people forget you got to feed actors. If you can't do any, you got to feed them, and that can get expensive. Or just if you make food for them, you can do that as well.
yeah. I mean, I do that definitely. I didn't make food, but I did buy food. I bought like bentos here, and bentos are kind of like these cheap meals, which yeah, I think the actors, they definitely appreciate that, and yeah, it's something you kind of have to do. You got to keep them fed and try to keep them happy. So
Oh, definitely, definitely. But another thing about the one location again, like which is wild. Everything I've shot so far has been in this apartment. Everything, what I'm
that's
saying.
awesome.
So, yeah, I mean, the stop motion things, all that. But that's kind of easy. Cause stop motion, that's a controlled little set anyway. But the live action stuff's all been in here. But at the same time, if I was to try to do something a little more ambitious and get like another location, that's expensive. Like, because you got to figure you got to rent it, you got to get like permits. It's not like you got for the whole. You got a certain amount of time you got to be in there. People, it's just all this stuff you got to worry about. And if you don't get all the shots, you got to go back. You got to do it all over again. Versus, when you shoot like your house, it's your house. I mean, aside from just tearing your house apart, you don't got to worry about all that. And that's gonna save you a lot of money.
Yeah.
Camera.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I used. I also used my apartment for the movie.
Right.
I mean, it's the main location, and yeah, thankfully my wife was okay with that.
Yeah, same here. I mean, we're insane now. Let's not get that mixed up. We're insane to shoot anything like this in our apartment.
Yeah.
But do what you got to do. But Dad, cameras are another thing that people forget about. But in your situation, you had your own equipment, right? You had a red and everything to shoot Bakemono, correct?
Yeah, I bought that for this movie, and then I'm gonna reuse it on my next films. So
yeah, so I mean that right there, it's not like you gotta renting a camera and getting lenses and stuff. We already got it. In my case, aside from the short films, the actual feature. My buddy, he's a cinematographer, so he had a Blackmagic Ursa, and we got a mutual. Our other friends had a mini Blackmagic, pocket Blackmagic 6K, so we were able to use both of those on this, and that that helped us out a lot, And then sound was another thing. Like all my friends are film people, so they came in with their own equipment and stuff, so I had to worry about renting all that stuff. You know,
That's fantastic, man. That's really smart. Like connections like that can really help. And just having cool friends and.
Yeah, dude, because you know how much that stuff costs. We start adding up numbers, renting that stuff out, but the big one for both you and I, which is we did our own effects. That by far would have. I couldn't have made it. I couldn't have made any of my stuff if I didn't do my own effects. It's just
I think that's huge.
Even Bakemono, man. There's a lot of stuff. If you broke it down to budget wise, all right, this is this much. This is if you had to get somebody else to do it, it's insane how much practical effects cost. I get it because I've done it, so I know. But
that's definitely a smart thing that we both do, which adds so much value. But because we do it ourselves, it saves so much money. But it really kind of makes the movies kind of in a way, so.
Oh yeah, definitely. I wouldn't have it any other way. Even like it would have to be something again. Like if I was hired to do like a very, very big movie, I would have no choice but to hire more people to help out in that. But as long as I can do like the smaller things like I'm doing now and keep it within a certain budget, I'll continue to do my own effects. I will say this: the next time when I do another feature with effects like I'm doing now, I'm gonna probably get an assistant to help out because it's a little too much trying to do everything yourself.
Yeah, you're right, and I should do that, but I don't know. I'm an idiot. I don't know.
But when we're so. But you and I are very similar. Like when you're in there, you just want to do it. It's like, I need to get it done. I just get to do it. So you just kind of hop in and do it. You know you're gonna do it. You got to wait around and stuff. So I get it, man. We're not the only one. There's a lot of film. Like I said before, it seems like that's something a lot of the filmmakers now do. Is they're doing it all themselves, which is cool because at least. From a director's point of view, it's good to know these things because now you can understand everybody's job, right? It's easier to communicate with the crew when you know what they're going through and what they have to do versus just tossing out demands for stuff you just don't have an understanding of and wanting this magic to happen. So
I think like a lot of the great filmmakers, that's kind of what they did. They learned kind of the lower positions, like James Cameron. He started low. Right. And then he worked his way up like really fast, and he could do it. He could do everything, probably.
Yeah.
Better than a lot of the people actually.
Oh yeah. I heard he's a little demanding and whatnot. But the guys, he's James Cameron. He gave us some of the greatest films of all time.
Yeah, Aliens. It's like I love that movie so much. It's perfect. Yeah. But
are you gonna buy that? Was it the extended edition that came out? Was it a 6K? Is it 4K? I think.
Yeah, 4K. What I'm really excited about is Aliens Expanded, which is like this new what do they say, 6 or 4 hour documentary?
Yeah, that one. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I did that. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Because like the one that came out in the quadrilogy years ago, that was really good.
That was cool.
There's a lot of information in that one. Alien is one of those things. The first two, anyway. Actually, no, I tell you, Alien 3. The making Alien 3 is interesting, but
that's really interesting.
Yeah,
it's dark.
You go in with a different. Because I've always I never hated Alien 3. I think we had this conversation before. Like I got my issues with it. It didn't work in the continuation of the actual franchise, but as a standalone film, I thought it was very, very good. I thought it had probably the best soundtrack out of all of them. It had a really good soundtrack.
I did love the music, but I do love the score to Alien and Aliens. They all have phenomenal music. But you're right. I have listened to that. I think when I was writing Bakemono, I was listening to some of Alien 3. So.
Yeah, it's insane. Studios have come along. That wouldn't happen now. How they were just rewriting all the time, right? Aliens was such a success. You would have thought they would have went in with a better plan with the third one, especially when they knew they had a franchise that made money. But I don't know. It's just times, man. It was a different time then, I guess.